The one and only Chris Bowers chops it up with ATC to give his 3 reasons you must absolutely watch the Beatles Get Back docuseries premiering on Thanksgiving Day 2021. Of course, the impact the Beatles had on his own career, in addition to talking about the late great Billy Preston, amongst a few other juicy topics. Without further ado, let's jump right into this. Notes all over the place, so kind of bear with me, Chris. But one of the main things we definitely want to get out of you specifically is it's a little bit of a quirky feature, but essentially 3 reasons. Now it's only 3, but 3 reasons everybody should tune in, and of course support this new Disney Plus exclusive, the whole Beatles Get Back. So with your background, with your love for the music, and I imagine being able to get a sneak peek at this already, what would your top 3 reasons be, Chris?
I feel like just being able to see any sort of intimate footage, of a band like that at this time is like always incredibly exciting to me. Just because you feel like you've seen everything, and then when you're able to find more information to get an even closer look at people, and there's already been so much that we've been able to explore, it feels really special to be able to see something new and again, they give them a even clearer picture of who they are. And I think just in general, having this perspective on it feels pretty special. So I think that's one big reason for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, I feel like just Peter Jackson in general, just being such an incredible director, I feel like having him involved in this is pretty special.
Definitely. I want to squeeze one more out of you. And I'm gonna kind of make this a side question, but we got to give Billy Preston a humongous shout out, man, because like even seeing like glimpses of him in the trailer, it kind of gives you those goosebumps. It's like, oh my gosh, like what? That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Billy Preston, the impact that he had on music in general, but being able to see, how that crossover happened with him and the Beatles is pretty fascinating as well.
No, for sure, Mr. So we got that locked up. A few more things, of course, I want to shoot at you, Chris. Really, just kind of the Beatles' impact and influence on you. I think it's very easy for people to kind of lean towards Paul McCartney or even, oh my God, John Lennon. You look at all the samples, what Nas has done with his music as well. But just Beatles overall for your personal interest in them, and then even professionally, maybe the impact they had in your career path.
Yeah, for me, it's really just the ability they had of balancing the complex with the incredibly simple. I think for me, my favorite musicians, composers, or artists in general find some sort of way to convey a really complex idea, a really complex emotion, a really complex aspect of life, and convey that in a really simple way. And they're geniuses at that. Like, there's so many times where I didn't really become a fan of the Beatles until like college, until like adulthood. My parents didn't really listen to Beatles very much, and I just had this period in college where I would pick a band and a director to study, and I would just kind of go in on their catalog. And so when I went into the Beatles, there were so many times where I would start to pick apart some of their songs or learn some of their songs that on the surface sound incredibly simple, but all of a sudden I'd realize, oh, there's an odd barred phrase here, or actually this is like a different time signature. The musicality is so incredibly woven into the songwriting that I feel like that's not only one of the things that I love about them so much, but also something that I definitely feel has influenced my own approach to composition, where I love trying to take something simple and make it just slightly quirky so that it feels like it's a little bit more special or unique, or vice versa. If I have something that's really complex, continuing to try to find a simpler way to say it, and I feel like a lot of that comes from studying them.
No, absolutely. Just out of curiosity, as I'm hearing you just speak, I'm just thinking about how unique each individual Beatle was, and again, kind of pulling Billy Preston back into the conversation. Is there one or two, or maybe it's even the collective that just I don't know that you see parallels with your own kind of career path, or maybe just things that maybe you have in common? Again, I'm not sure if you had a chance to actually check out this entire docu series, but just any one or two that maybe you really have a connection to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt a pretty big connection to Billy Preston, just thinking about how, his, him being this like node between genres where, he was so prolific in the R&B genres and like all the bands he was playing with at the time, whether it was Ray Charles or Little Richard or whomever else it was. I feel like for him to then exist in a space like playing with the Beatles, it feels like it shows just how universal music is. I think that's the kind of band that they were. So I really feel like I had a lot of connection with him, and I feel like it's weird. I kind of go back and forth between both Paul and John because there's a part of me that has always liked being a. I feel like he's like the friendly guy. He's the guy that is like very charismatic, and then you have the yin to that yang as far as like the energy. And so I feel like there are definitely times where I kind of go vacillate between the two as far as how I maybe even like see the world a bit.
For sure, for sure. A few more things I want to throw at you, Chris. I'm just fascinated by just how your career has really shaped. And, I would say these past 12 to 18 months, not only tying the knot, but so many big films that of course, you're attached to, man. I was just joking about, man, even the Space Jam film, right? But King Richard, obviously, what you did with Respect. And, I'm just kind of curious, like, how has life changed for you? I'm hoping for the better, right? Or just maybe super busy with things, in these past 12 to 18 months with COVID and with all that and still really, thugging it through and just having these massive career milestones and achievements.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a whirlwind. I feel like I'm really just trying to keep my eyes focused on the next step ahead of me, one step at a time and one day at a time, and just kind of hope that God helps me through the rest of it. But I feel like I just feel thankful and really fortunate that I am doing what I love and I'm surrounded by people that I love and appreciate. So I can't think of anything better.
Yeah, definitely, and not for people to try to follow your exact blueprint, because like I said, doing my research on you, looking at 2011, 2012, like things really started to shape up extremely awesome for you as you kind of laid out the groundwork. But people who just who have those same interests, pianists, people who are or had that passion for making music, and there's so many different avenues now, and there's so many different ways that people can be content creators. Like, do you have any advice for people who say, oh, I want to be the next Chris Bowers, or man, I would love to kind of reach the same level of success as Chris Bowers? Is there a starting point? Does it start with the passion? Do you have to find the right platform?
I think it definitely starts with passion and passion really just meaning having some sort of connection to some sort of craft or something that makes you feel like you can't stop thinking about it, that you're incredibly curious about it, that everything in you tells you that you have to continue to try to tinker at this thing. And I feel like once you have that feeling, then it's about pursuing that like obsessively, really. At the end of the day, I feel like anybody that I've met that I've been a huge fan of, the thing that has been common between all of them is that they just obsess about being great at whatever it is that they're trying to be great at. And the other thing I'd say to that is just trusting your own instincts, because that's what makes you unique and that's what makes you you. And it's so amazing to think about. Like just today, Grammy nominations came out, and a good friend of mine, John Batiste, he was nominated for 11 Grammys, and he's the most nominated person this year. And he's a jazz pianist that went to Juilliard. And I remember how much people were trying to make him conform in a space like that, and he just refused to do anything other than be himself. And it was always unique and different, and he's carved away for himself. So I feel like people like that have always been inspiration for me, and I try to do the same thing.
Absolutely, and wrapping this whole entire thing up, of course, as we really focus on the whole Beatles, the Get Back, this docu-series, you're doing, Netflix scores, you're doing, whether it's TV shows or movies, kind of like how do you map out your next few steps? Do you just kind of take it, little by little? Obviously, like I said, you've tied the knot. Do you look to wife to kind of help out with some of that stuff? Just, with so many opportunities out there, Disney Plus being a massive platform within itself, how do you kind of pick and choose what now, because you've reached so many massive achievements?
Yeah, I think, my wife is definitely a huge part of every one of those steps and conversations, just thinking about, not only do I trust her artistic opinion, she's a great artist herself, but also it, these choices affect us as a family. There's so many times where I take on a few extra projects where I take on something that's a little daunting, and she's the one that's right there beside me as I'm trying to navigate that, and so I feel like those conversations definitely go with her. And then beyond that, it's really thinking about the artists that I enjoy working with. Fortunately, they're continuing to work and continuing to want to work with me, and so I'm really always jump at the chance at working with any of them, just because they're incredible artists, and I feel fortunate. And then outside of that, it's just something that's going to excite me as a creative person, or say something that I feel is incredibly important to say, and in a really artful way. So those are usually the things that I kind of keep my eye out for, and so far I've been fortunate where that's kept me busy.
Amazing. I'm gonna need a part two, man. Congrats on everything. Just honestly, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Chris. Enjoy Turkey Day, man, and all the family gatherings, and be safe out there. And I'm looking forward to us continuing this in a future conversation. Okay.
All right, thanks, Cyrus.
All right. Take care, guys.
And there you have it. Such a short but very fulfilling Q&A with the one and only Chris Bowers. Such a pleasure to have him with ATC, talking so much dope stuff. And as always, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification buttons, of course, like, and leave some comments about what type of content you would like to continue to see on this channel. And as always, make sure to check out Attack the Culture.